Hello, welcome back to Mountain Bike Action. My name is JJ. Today I'm coming at you with another first ride impressions video. Well, I guess it's not really a first ride impressions, it's the third ride. We had to get a little bit comfortable on the bike first, but now that we have, we can tell you what we think. And what's the bike, you ask? Well, it's the Yeti SB120, of course. Yeti sent this thing to us from their beautiful factory in Golden, Colorado. We built it up and went straight to the trails. Of course, we made a few adjustments to make sure that everything was good for us. We put a little bit of shorter stem on there and made sure the suspension was tweaked just the way we like it. And then we went out, we started riding, and here we are. This is the T3 build. It has Fox factory suspension, has 130 millimeters of travel in the front, 120 millimeters of travel in the rear, full 29er. To shift its gears, it's got the EXO transmission. We've got DT Swiss wheels. And, well, that's about all the important stuff. Now, I'm sure you'd like to see how it works. Let me tell you. First, we'll talk about the climbing. Now, you might say, hey, JJ, this is a Yeti. It's gonna climb excellently. You know what? I'm gonna agree with you on that. Now, it's an excellent climber in all circumstances that I have faced so far. I've gone up super steep, super loose, I've gone up technical, and I've gone up just plain boring. And with all three, it was excellent. But with the super steep, super loose, and super technical, it was very quick. And what I mean by that is every movement that you make is amplified somehow. And so what I found, instead of pushing through the bike into the hill and trying to force it up the climbs, I kind of sat back and lightened up on it and let it just kind of dance its way to the top. It has plenty of traction. You don't have to force the traction. And the front just kind of guides its way through without you even having to try. So that's the first thing I noticed was as you start to climb these hills, you don't need to force the issue. The bike just kind of climbs up on its own. Now, are you looking for efficiency? Because this thing's got it. This thing was super efficient on the boring, flat road climbs that you just kind of want to just not do. This thing handled it really well, and I actually felt I was carrying a really good average speed going up them. It didn't make it fun necessarily, but it made it less miserable. So I'm gonna say this thing so far gets a great mark for the climb. What about the descents? We'll see. Let's charge it. Now let's talk about the geometry of the SB120. It has a head tube angle of 66.5 degrees, an effective seat tube angle of 76.5 degrees, a reach of 475 millimeters, a stack height of 625 millimeters, and a chainstay length of 439 millimeters. The chainstay lengths on this bike are size specific and grow by 2 millimeters from one size to the next. Our size was a size large. Hey there! Fancy running into you here. As it just so happens, I am ready to give you my verdict. I have descended a little bit. I've done some fairly tech, so I've done loose and fast, and I've done long, straightforward boring. This bike's great, super fun, well balanced, but I am going to echo what I said about the climbing. You need a light hand to handle this bike. You cannot force it into anything. And I think that's pretty common with cross-country bikes kind of like this. You never want to be heavy-handed on the downhills on a cross-country bike, or it will bite you. The angles are just a little bit more severe, and if you push into something a little bit too hard, you're gonna go over. This thing, however, handles even those on the edge moments very well. I found myself on the side of the trail pushing into a corner that was very loose, and I was like, oh, this is it, I'm going down. And in one of my earlier rides, I did. This time, I didn't, and the bike held its traction. It ended up going where I wanted it to go, and I carried on. In this case, this bike, it really welcomes an active rider, and by that I mean a rider that kind of allows the bike to dance underneath them as they go around through the trail, around corners, over rocks. It just wants to dance. It's well balanced, and it'll eventually point where you want it to go. You don't have to give it very much direction. It's just a very light touch. Point your hips and just kind of look where you want to go, and you hardly have to maneuver at all. It's just it's very light, fast, responsive bike. Super fun. You can pump into things super well. It supports it, and you just take off. It carries speed super well. Is it the most stable bike? No, not really, but I didn't expect it to be. I expected it to be a cross-country bike that could handle the downhills with a little bit more grace and mercy than a cross-country race bike, and that's exactly what it does. Now, what kind of trails do you want to ride this thing on? I would say aggressive cross-country, mild trail. Enduro's pushing it. It could probably do it, but it's gonna hurt. You're not gonna feel good, and you're gonna go super slow, and you're just not gonna feel good about yourself. This thing handles flow, light chunk, and moderate steeps very well. And you can just kind of push and prod and like just do whatever you want. Just don't do it with a heavy hand. Don't force the bike in anything, because it's not going to respond well. If you want to ride this bike well, you want to be light on the bike. Let it dance around underneath you. It's a fun bike, tell you what. And I'm going to ride it a heck of a lot more. And I'm going to give you a full review in the magazine down the road a bit. If you like this video, please hit that thumbs up button. Leave a comment down below if you have anything to say about this bike, a future bike that you'd like us to test, or anything that you'd like to recommend. Please leave it down in the comments below. And of course, please subscribe. It helps us so much. But don't just subscribe to our YouTube channel. Go check out our magazine. It'll be linked down below. You can get monthly magazines sent to you. Yes, paper copies, paper magazines sent to you on a monthly basis, or just stop by one of your local newsstands. There's a chance that it's there. Until we see you again, I'm gonna go shred this thing and just keep having a good time. I recommend you do the same. We'll see you around.